What's going on, everybody? Well, I'm back here on YouTube finally, per request of many of my fans and viewers. Took a little bit of a hiatus after the Arnold from YouTube, just really kind of focusing a little bit more on World's Strongest Man and my performance there. Just to recap what happened at the Arnold on the Denny Stone event, where we had to walk with those big stones with the ring handles. It tore my callus open pretty much all the way going up my hand. And then as the Denny stone went down, the right stone that was 420 pounds, it buckled my right knee, and it gave me some really bad calf and Achilles problems. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish the competition, and I had to end up pulling out of it and still placing 7th. So I guess that's something. But it wasn't the start to my 2024 season that I was hoping for, but I was very focused and dialed in on getting this rehabbed and making sure that World's Strongest Man was going to be a perfect prep, and I was just going to be dialed in and focused on that. So that's where I've been the past couple of months. I've just been really focused on one thing and one thing only. My main goal in Strongman, winning the World's Strongest Man. So I went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina to compete in World's Strongest Man 2024. And I went in with a completely different mindset. It's something that I've been actively working on for a very long time, and I feel like I finally found a very good way to control it. Is letting the monster out of the cage, as we said in interviews and production and all that. I'm very good at that. Everybody knows me as that super psychotic, aggressive, and angry lifter and competitor. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm very serious about what I do. My problem has always been being able to put that monster back in the cage and being able to conserve as much energy as possible. So that was what I really ended up focusing on for this prep, and it turns out that it paid off. And the little cherry on top was when I went out to go train with Brian and the rest of the Americans like 2 weeks before World's Strongest Man. He gave me an analogy of, you're given a pitcher of energy before the competition starts, and you only need to pour it out a little bit at a time when you need it in order to perform. So that way you can conserve as much energy as possible. And the way that he explained it to me really resonated with me, and it helped me really understand conserving the energy aspect of competing. And I feel like I kind of hit the nail on the head a little bit, and I ended up pulling my first World's Strongest Man podium. I sit here before you, the 3rd strongest man in the entire world. Almost 9 billion people, 9 billion people, and I am number 3. So that is something that I am proud of. I would say that as far as my performance specifically, I am happy but not satisfied. And what I mean by that is, I am happy because I got my first World's Strongest Man podium. I have my first World's Strongest Man trophy that I get to take home. I really got the opportunity to show people that I am one of the best in the entire world, and I felt like I put that on display for the entire world to see. With that being said, I am not satisfied, because although the 3rd place trophy is a very beautiful shade of rose gold, it is not gold. I go to competitions to win. I don't go for the experience. I don't go to have fun. Those are all byproducts of what I do, but I show up to competitions to win. So I'm not satisfied with 3rd place. Obviously, I went there to get gold, and that is what I am going to be training for the rest of the year to pull off next year. Wherever World's Strongest Man may be next year, I want to win gold. And I think that with the trajectory of how my career has gone, from last year being my first finals, this year being my first podium, I believe now more than ever that next year will be my first title. And I'm very excited for that. I'm looking forward to putting in all the work that I need to get to that title, and we'll see what happens. So let's go over a little bit of the competition for World's Strongest Man 2024. The first event was the Yoke into Frame Medley. Both events I am very good at. I am very confident in my abilities with. I like to think that for a bigger guy, I am very fast, and I proved that. In the rules meeting, we were notified prior that the frame was going to be around 850 pounds, give or take. And in the rules meeting, it was brought to our attention that it was lightened and it was 700. And 700 pounds is what I was using to essentially do my speed runs in training. I mean, I would load my frame at Southside up to 700 pounds, and I would just do that for footwork and speed. So I felt very confident going into that event, and I'm very, very happy with the result of that. I ended up taking first in that event, and the closest person to me was 10 seconds away from me. So needless to say, I absolutely blitzed that event. Now I will touch on this at the very end. My foot, when I put the implement down, or I dropped it, I should say, it landed on my right foot. Now, the way that it landed, my foot was facing downward, so it essentially hyperextended my foot. Thankfully, the men and women at Conan who made that implement, they gave some clearance between the toolbox that was part of the implement and the floor. So my foot had just enough room to not get completely crushed by 700 pounds, which I'm very thankful for. But it did end up hyperextending my ankle and my foot. So putting a little bit of pressure on my foot was not the easiest thing to do for the rest of the competition. So I went to the World's Strongest Man medical staff, and they wrapped my foot. They made sure nothing was broken, torn, popped, nothing. And then they ended up wrapping my foot, and my foot was wrapped for the rest of the competition of Saturday and Sunday. So right now I'm able to walk around with no pain, and I haven't had pain with it since. So I like to think that I got off very lucky with that, and I'm very thankful that I did not pick up an injury from that. So yeah, starting off my first attempt at the podium for World's Strongest Man with an event win, I will definitely take that. Event 2, the Max Axle Clean and Press. This was a bitch of an event because I am not fond of the axle. I do not like, out of all of the overhead press events, I believe that axle is my least favorite. And it's not because I underperformed. I hit roughly around what I wanted and what I needed to. I would have liked to have hit 200 kilos, but I ended up topping off at 190. So 420 pounds, give or take. I was able to stick, and I'm super, super proud and happy with that. But it was decent points too, which was also very good for me. But yeah. It still left my abdomen super, super chopped up because the knurling on that thing was ridiculous. It was a beautiful axle bar, but again, axle was just not my thing. So, off the top of my head, I don't know where I placed in that. It was around the middle of the pack, fourth maybe. I know Pavlo Kordiaka, Mitchell Hooper, and Tom Stoltman all pressed more, so there's that. But still very pleased with what I was able to do. And then the end of day 1, we were doing the max keg toss. Now, notoriously, I have a mixed result with any kind of throwing event. I'm also not particularly fond of throwing events, and mainly just because this is just my personal opinion. You can take it for what it's worth, but I feel like throwing events are a lot more technical than they are strength-based, and I don't know exactly how that fits into the strongest man in the world competition, like the World's Strongest Man, but to each his own. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments because I know you will. But I actually performed very well on this event. I ended up matching Wes Derwinski from Canada, Tom Stoltman, and Mitchell Hooper just below the world record, which was very surprising to me, but I was also very, very happy with, because that's another very good result for me in an event that I was probably expecting to hit middle of the pack in. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then Wes, Tom, and Mitch all ended up hitting the world record, and I wasn't able to. But it is what it is. I will definitely take that. That again was good points, and that was the end of day 1. So beginning of day 2, we were starting with the Conan's wheel. An event I do not like because front carry for max distance is my least favorite event in any strongman competition. I absolutely despise it. It burns my posterior chain so bad, and I always hate doing it. I hate training it. I hate doing it, but I trained it really, really hard because obviously you're not going to just not train something because you don't like it. So I went into it with mixed opinions. I ended up making a mistake on my breathing and my bracing, and I ended up taking, like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I took like 7th in that event, and that was absolutely not, that was such an underperformance on me, and I was very, very upset with that result. But I did everything I could to shake it off and move into the next one, which was deadlift. I knew I was potentially going to make up some good points there. And so deadlift, it was the Hummer tire deadlift, and it was 825 pounds for reps on a slight deficit just because we were standing on a platform. And I ended up pulling 5 reps. I almost got 6. Which would have been really, really good for me, but 6 just wasn't there. I got it maybe 70 to 75% of the way, and I couldn't pull my hips through. So unfortunately I had to stop at 5. There was some really, really good deadlifters in this competition and in the final, and I knew that I probably wasn't going to get top 3 in this, especially with Matt Ragg. Shout out to him, coming out of nowhere. I knew Matt was going to be super devastating in the deadlift, but good Lord, 8 reps at 825, that's impressive. So I'm pretty sure that he's the one that took the lead on that one. And then going into stones, the last stone being 465 pounds. These were incredibly heavy stones. Obviously, Tom Stoltman won. Tom Stoltman ended up taking first in the stones, and I still just don't know how he does it, because it's the end of a very long week. We're all very tired. It's very, very hot, which I'm one of those people that zaps my energy when I'm out in the sun for too long. And I was just completely fried. I ended up potentially kind of tweaking something in my back on that deadlift on that 6th rep attempt. So my back was very, very much in pain going into the stones, and I was a little concerned about that, but I went out there, I gave it all I got. I ended up loading 3 stones. I don't know where that placed me in the scores. Tom ended up winning stones, and yeah, and ultimately I ended up pulling 3rd place over Matt Ragg by half a point, and then I was behind Mitch Hooper, who ended up taking 2nd, and then he was behind Tom Stoltman, who ended up getting his 3rd World's Strongest Man title. Puts him in a very elite group, and I congratulate Tom on all of his success. It's truly remarkable that I get to share the stage with you. Shout out to obviously Mitchell Hooper for proving time and time again that he is easily one of the most well-versed and devastating competitors on the strongman circuit today. So props to him as well. And then for me, rounding out the podium and getting my first World's Strongest Man trophy. So that was a brief summary recap of my experience at World's Strongest Man in 2024. I would like to give a shout out to all of the people that supported me backstage, kept me together mentally and physically and emotionally. And shout out to the World's Strongest Man and Giants Live crew and staff for putting on an amazing show. I had a great time, and over the years of competing at World's Strongest Man, I like to think that I've grown a little bit more of a personable relationship with all of you, so I thank you very, very much as both my colleagues and my friends. And shout out to all the fans who came out and supported us in that very hot sun. I know those were long days, and I know it probably wasn't the easiest sitting in those bleachers, but I can absolutely speak for every other strongman when I say we appreciate you guys showing your support to us and coming out to watch and cheer us all. Thank you so much for that. Me and all of the other guys and everybody involved with the sport love and appreciate each and every one of you. So that was my recap of World's Strongest Man 2024. If you liked it, I'm back on YouTube now. I would like to make this a more regular thing again, very reoccurring thing. I'm working with my friends at Brothersdale, and yeah, we're going to start pushing out a lot more content on a lot more regular basis. So if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and until the next one, T-Rex Kingdom, baby.